The five-star sit-down is now joined by NAU head coach Chris Ball. He took the job just over a month ago, and it's been a very busy time of year for him. Coach, we appreciate you jumping on with us on such a busy week as we lead up to signing day.
No problem. Glad to be on. Thank you.
So what has this last month been like for you? Obviously, taking the job at NAU right around the early signing period and now making that push towards the February signing period. What has gone into the last 30 or so days since taking this job?
Well, when you get hired, there's a lot of things that go through your mind and things that you got to get done. And, I finally had to sit down and, after I got some guys hired and started talking to our defensive coordinator, Jerry Partridge, and we said, he'd learned something when he was coaching with Lou Holtz at Notre Dame. He said, win, go with the win philosophy. What's important now? And the number one thing after I got hired was, one is our players that we have there on campus that are playing for us there at NAU, and two was recruiting. And so our players we've gotten with our players a couple times, and then we hit the road recruiting, and that's been the emphasis here the last 3 weeks.
So obviously everything's kind of coming at you a little bit fast. From your past program at Memphis, what do you see at this NAU program that you might be able to carry over, whether that be on the defensive side or offensive side of the ball, from Memphis to NAU?
When we were at Memphis, recruiting was number one. We put that at the top, number one thing outside of our players, and it was something that we spent every day on. And I think that as these days, you can draw up whatever scheme you want to draw up, offensively and defensively, but if you don't have great players to execute it, then you're going to be in trouble. So our emphasis this last 3 weeks has been on recruiting, the same thing we were doing at Memphis. We're going to look for character first, and what is character? That's service. So we're looking for young men that want to serve our university and our football program and their teammates. And the second one would be work ethic, what we're looking for. The only way you could become great at anything is to work hard. So we're looking for work ethic. We're looking for smart. I think there's smart people. I think there's careless people. And we need smart people to do the right things on and off the field. And then we're looking for toughness. Those are things that you can see on tape, but, we're also looking for mental toughness. What is that individual going to do when things aren't going, when there's a little bit of adversity? So those are the four things we're looking for. And then obviously we're looking for talent. But if I'm just going to recruit somebody just on talent, that's not quite the direction we want to go, because talented people that don't have those other characteristics don't tend to get better. And so we're looking, we hang our hat on those four characteristics, and then obviously you got to be talented to play in our league. But those are things we're looking for. And we've had a similar philosophy at Memphis, but we've sort of carried it on over here to NAU.
Now, you barely missed Aaron Pflugrad, coaching him when he was a player at ASU, and both of you guys were over in Tempe, but he was a GA on that staff with you. What do you remember about him back in the Tempe days, and how has he grown as a coach to current day and really running a lot of the recruiting for you now that you're in your position at NAU?
Well, I've known Aaron since he was 12 years old. His dad and I coached together at Washington State, and I remember when he was coming out of high school, he was this little receiver, and JT Levenseller was a quarterback. It was our receiver coach's son, and they were doing really good things there at Pullman High. And he came out of he's going into his senior year, and we used to have these Nike combines at these different campuses, and the one on the West Coast was at Stanford. And we had gone on and offered JT Levenseller, the quarterback at Pullman High School, and Aaron was a receiver there, and he was a little bit upset because we didn't offer him, and we weren't sure he's exactly what we're looking for. So he goes down to the Nike combine and goes in there and just schools every 4- and 5-star defensive back on the West Coast. Just schools them. And I'm sitting there watching, and I had left Washington State that spring, and I was at Alabama, and I was out there at that thing and just watching him just embarrass these high-profile high school defensive backs that had offers from all over the country, and so he walks out of that combine and ends up with 6 Pac-12 offers. Well, then the rest is history. He goes on and plays at Oregon, and Oregon said he was too small to be a consistent starter, so then he transferred over there to Arizona State, and the rest is history. But that's sort of the mentality he has. He's very, very competitive, very, very smart. I don't think the kid. I don't think he's gotten a B. I don't think he got a B at high school or college. Just a quality person. But he does a great job, with the kids. He's very well organized. I went down to the national convention, and when I got the job, I told Aaron, I said, I want you to stay. I'm going to really look at you as a wide receiver coach, and I'm going to go interview some other offensive coordinators. And so I go down to the national convention, and I got up, started at 8 o'clock in the morning, went all the way through to 7:30 that night, and woke up the next day and interviewed 2 more guys. And Aaron ended up being the last guy. And when I told Aaron that I was going to look at other offensive coordinators, he sort of looked at me and said, well, I want to give me the opportunity to show you that I can be the offensive coordinator. And I said, okay, I'll consider that, but I still really want you to coach receivers because you're a really good receiver coach. And he goes, Coach, give me an opportunity to be the quarterback coach also, and I'll show you. So I go down there to the national convention, and I'm interviewing these guys, and I thought I really had my mind on 2 guys, and but I said, you know what, I'm gonna interview Aaron and see what he brings to the table. Well, we get in his interview, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. He blew everybody out of the water, and did a great job, and just showed me that he could coach every position on the offense, and could organize it. He had a great philosophy, and I'd given all the candidates the same itinerary. I told them I wanted to know their philosophy, and I wanted to teach me the day one install, and he blew it out of the water. So he's special. I think he's just he's the next big time play caller. He's the next big time offensive coordinator, and we're lucky to have him.
Now, the state of Arizona well, coaching here, recruiting here for many years. How have you seen the state's recruiting profile change over the past couple of years?
I think it's gotten better. I said that when I was coaching at Arizona State. I said that I thought the high school football just gets better and better every year. And, the coaches are doing a good job of organizing themselves. They're a close-knit group of guys. But the football has just blown up. And, it's great for us because we've got a great recruiting base. Arizona's going to be our recruiting base. We're going to spend a lot of time here, and we're going to thoroughly recruit it. And but it's a great recruiting base to have. We shouldn't have to go far to get players, but we're going to start. We're going to put 5 to 6 guys in the state of Arizona, and we're going to recruit it from top to bottom and find the best players that fit us. You always, every time you take a job, you hear everybody say, well, they don't do a good job recruiting the state. Well, we're going to do a good job recruiting the state. And with that, we're going to build some relationship with the high school coaches so that they can help us. And then also, we're going to build some we're going to build some relationships. We'll build some relationships with the high school players. Some kids, are going to look for bigger things and move on. But, at the same sense, we got to have a relationship with those kids. So if they do decide to transfer and come back to Arizona, that NAU is their first choice.
Now, recruiting is a year-round thing. You got to go and make offers, go and make visits. What has been some of the major roadblocks being a new head coach at NAU when it comes to either new recruits or recruits who'd already committed, among other things?
It hasn't been, it's a great sell. Recruiting sales. We're selling a great university. We're selling a program that's been pretty consistent over the years. It has a great base. All things are there. Are in place to win. We've got a few things to change, but Coach Sowers did a good job of building a base there, and we just got to take it to another level. But as far as the, coming in, people are in the state are always interested in NAU. We just got to get down there and sell it to more people. But some of the roadblocks, some people had been, had been building relationships in our state and from other Big Sky schools have been going on since last spring. Aaron and Robin Pflugrad have pretty much held that together. Jimmy Beal, the 3 guys I kept on the staff, have held that together and done a good job of that. So the guys that we have gotten, were just waiting for me to get in there to see them, and see what direction the program was headed. And but there's a lot of desire to come up the hill and go to Northern Arizona. So it's I'm not going to say it's been easy, but it has definitely back what I thought the job was. I took this job because I thought it was a great opportunity to be a head coach at a great place, and it's everything I thought it was.
Coach, you and your staff have done a great job in the short time you've been here, and we appreciate you jumping on the 5-star sit down on such a busy week leading into signing day.
Thank you. Anytime, and I really appreciate you taking the time to put me on. And if we want to do this after the signing day, give me a call, because then I could talk about some of the guys that we were recruiting. Absolutely,
we'd love that, Coach. We'll definitely be in touch here after signing day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. That is Chris Ball, the head coach of the NAU Lumberjacks. And like he said, quite a few guys he couldn't talk about, but they've really picked up quite a few really good commits in the last week. When you look at Eloy Quete, Terrell Hayward from Cienega, Hendrix Johnson, I mean, these are some very decorated high school players that just seemed, for whatever reason, they were either a little bit under-recruited, or in the case of like Eloy Quete, he was committed to Massachusetts. There was a coaching change. All of a sudden, he was looking for a new spot, and NAU was able to take advantage. And it seems like it's going to be a great spot for quite a few of those players, where they could get some big-time minutes potentially early in their career. But the talent is definitely unquestioned.
And this is a case where you have a brand-new head coach who's essentially month and a half-ish into the job, and you have some really great recruits that could have said, I'm going elsewhere, decommitting. There's plenty of hoopla that goes on when a new coach comes in. But a lot of these recruits, you haven't heard anything about NAU commits or guys who are really on NAU flipping back after the announcement of Coach Ball. And I think that's really great for the program that they are maintaining these commits to play under Coach Ball next year.
And I think he brought up a great point about both of the Pflugrads, Aaron and Robin, and that entire coaching staff kind of keeping things together. It's got to be really hard to recruit when there's coaching uncertainty.
And especially in December when you're like, what am I selling right now?
Right.
2 weeks in.
And the past 2 years, that's kind of what we've seen with Jerome Sowers. Will he retire? Won't he retire? Now that Coach Ball is in there, you just got to credit that support staff to really, continuing to keep boots on the ground and see these guys specifically in the state and make those connections. So now that you do have Chris Ball in, who is a good recruiter as well, a great defensive mind, learned under Mike Norvell at Memphis, all of a sudden these guys are starting to roll in, and they're seeing a lot of momentum as we approach that second signing day. So a lot of really good stuff there from Coach Ball, specifically his relationship with Aaron Pflugrad. I loved that. So that's all we have for you here on the 5-star sit down. Special thanks to Jeff Bowen, to Chris Ball, and we are 1 week away from signing day. So plenty that is going to be happening here. Make sure to keep it to Sports 360 AZ each and every day leading up to signing day. We're going to have content all the time coming in as things change, as commitments are made. Thanks so much for tuning in.